Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you the ESV Treveris from Schuyler in black goatskin, so stay tuned. Hey and welcome back to the channel. Now if you're familiar with Schuyler Bibles, you know that they have their famous quintel, and I've reviewed several quintels of various translations and cover styles, and this is different than a quintel. This is the Treveris. And this Treveris is essentially Schuyler's attempt at a reader's edition. Now, before I get to the layout of the Treveris and how it differs from the previous quintel and the upcoming Stridon, I want to talk to you about the cover and a couple of more controversial things that have been showing up in other reviews. The first thing is the spine. Now you can see on the spine this blocky line that runs down the length of the spine, and that is from the Oxford Hollow. Imagine this being one piece of paper or one piece of fabric, and where they overlap, that's how you get that hinge for the block, okay? When the book opens, that's what flexes. That Oxford Hollow, when it wraps around, they could have the edges overlap and come to the edges of the spine, and you would never see this ridge running down the center because the edges of the Oxford Hollow would be on the hinges. But this is a miscalculation on the length or the width of their Oxford Hollow material. So they actually overlap like that, and they don't all the way meet to the hinge, but they have like that. So you have that little bit of a ridge from the book block pressing against that Oxford Hollow when it's shut. Now, one thing that I've heard resonated was this is kind of a common thing, but what I've found is not that common. Like for instance, I got a few Bibles I'm going to show you guys. Here on top of the Treveris is, this is a Crossway Bible, but it's also bound by Youngblood. This is the Legacy, and you don't see that ridge. Now here is a first edition quintel, and you also do not see that ridge on the spine. Here is a NASB Thintel by Schuyler, which is also bound by Youngblood, and it does not have that ridge down the spine. The one Bible I do have that does have something like that is the Canterbury. My Canterbury from Schuyler, it's a calfskin leather, which is a little bit thinner, and you can feel that little ridge going down the spine. It's a similar thing that it's from that Oxford Hollow where they don't meet up at the spine, they overlap in the center of the spine, and that's what causes that little hump. And if anybody tells you that this is the correct way to measure Oxford Hollow, it's not. This doesn't affect the usability or even the value of this edition. It's just a quirk, and hopefully in the future, Youngblood will do a little bit better job of measuring their material that they create these Oxford Hollows out of to prevent this ridge in the center. Now, as you can see here, the Bible has 6 raised ribs on the spine. You have Holy Bible, English Standard Version, and the Schuyler logo at the bottom. And I'll move this box out of the way, but it does come in this nice box. It has the ESV Treveris, black goatskin on one end, and Schuyler Bibles on the other end. Now, my first impressions of this edition are really great. I mean, really, aside from the ridge on the spine, it does have a full yap, which I love that. I love the full yap with the tooled perimeter line on the cover. I love this feel of this goat skin. It's not super grainy, which I think it's a little softer, and I think that's why you can see this edge line tab through the cover. You can also see this ridge on the spine because this goatskin's not super grainy. You also have a better corners. Instead of these being cut corners like traditional Schuyler Bibles, these are going to be pleated corners, more like what you'd find from R.L. Allen. And I have to say that Youngblood did an amazing job on these pleated corners, and I love that it has a stitched perimeter along with the pleated corners. Now, to show you a comparison between the corner styles, here you can see easily this cut and pasted corner on this Thintel versus the pleated corner on the full yap Treveris. I much prefer the full yap with the pleated corners. It just looks so much better, so much better. Now, this edition also has a red liner, and this red liner is very clean. You see goatskin leather cover imprinted on the bottom of the liner and this gold gilt line going around the perimeter of the cover. You can also see this edge line tab that goes onto the block. And again, the cover's a little thinner, and that's why you can kind of see that transferred to the cover, which I kind of don't like that. I wish they would almost reinforce this front and back cover so you wouldn't see that tab coming through. And as we fan the pages out, you can see that red under gold art gilt, and it really goes well with that red liner. And then we come to the presentation page, which is very decorative. Love that. You have your legacy pages with your marriages, births, deaths, and like, and then we come to the title page. The second title page shows a little more information: the Holy Bible, English Standard Version, containing the Old and New Testaments. You have the Schuyler Bible's logo, and then Treveris ESV on the bottom. On the publication page, you can see a lot of this information repeated. This is the 2016 text of the ESV. You also have the typesetting from 2K Denmark, and it's printed and bound by Youngblood in the Netherlands. Here we have the contents and the preface, and you can immediately recognize that this is a different font from the Milo font of the Quintels. I'm not sure of the name of the font, but I do like it. It's a little more bold. It does have a little more of a classic look. And as we get to Genesis, you can see that drop cap that was used to only be exclusive to Canterbury's, the King James Version editions. We have that drop cap I for in the beginning, and that darker, more bold font. It helps with readability, and I think that is what this edition is all about. It's a reader's edition. And we get a closer look at the text. You can see these drop caps at the start of each chapter, and the verse numbers are out to the side. And this is probably the only reason why it's really not for me, because I prefer to know exactly where the verses start and end. So right here, you have the second verse starting here after this period, or at least you would assume that. Now, there are parts in Scripture where the verse will change mid-sentence, and in those cases, you really don't have anything to indicate that. It's a problem for me, because if I want to read a reader's edition, I'll use my 6 volume that has that really dense paper. But if you would like a reader's edition that is condensed into one single volume, this might be the best reader's edition you can find. But it's just not for me. Great edition, great Bible, just not what I'm looking for from a reader's Bible. Now, this is a line matched edition, and the readability's pretty good, but you do see where there is a lot of show through because of such a dark and bold font, and the paper is not super thick because it has to be condensed into one volume. I really do love these drop caps though, and I think that that is a style choice that they should implement on all their editions because it's so pretty. Now, this edition also has 3 red ribbons to go with the red head and tail bands, the red liner, red end sheets. So it's really a beautiful combination of red with black. You have the red highlights in the text, the red section headings, your red under gold art gilt with your red liner and the red end sheets. And then the black text looks just so great against this paper. All right, so the differences between the Quintel and the Treveris are pretty vast. On the Quintel, you have the double column paragraph format with the verse numbers in bold in the middle of the paragraph, which is what I prefer. You have your references at the bottom of the page, and this edition is the thin tail, but all the Quintels are also coming in 28 GSM paper. That is the same for the Treveris, so they have the same paper. Now, the Treveris is very different. You have the drop cap at the start of each chapter. You have the verse numbers on the side, but it doesn't specify where the verse starts and ends in the middle of the paragraph format, which that unnerves me a little bit. You also have your section headings at the top rather than in the middle of the text. And where the Quintel is an 11-point font, the Treveris is a 10-point font, so a little bit smaller font, but I would say the readability on both these editions is excellent, but the Treveris is definitely more of a reader's edition. Now, you can see here in Luke that this is a black letter text. I'd love to eventually get a red letter. Schuyler, please make a red letter. That would be a dream. I'd really appreciate that. I just wish this was versified, and that's what's going to be really different about the upcoming Stridon. The Stridon will have a single column text like this, but it will be versified, where each text starts a new line. And I think that might be the one I'm looking so forward to getting and using. And as you can see, this edition doesn't have any references because that takes away from that reader's experience. So everything about this Bible is built to be a reader's edition. And as we get to the end of Revelation, we come to something that's very curious to me. If this is supposed to be a reader's edition, specifically for reading, I don't understand why there is a concordance here. Now the concordance is great. It's a dual column. The words are in all caps and in a red color, easy to find. All the references are in a bold, smaller text, but it's bold, with the verse numbers in red out to the side. But I don't understand why it's even in here. Then after the concordance, we come to the Bible maps. And as much as I love Bible maps, and as much as I love these Bible maps that are on this thicker cardstock, I love this. I'm just not sure I understand the purpose for this amount of Bible being taken up. When we could have made this edition an 11-point font and extended it to this much of the Bible. It could have been a little bit of a thinner Bible, a little bit of a lighter Bible, which would have helped with holding and reading. It's not bad to have these things, and I'm kind of glad that they have them because I like using the concordance, I like using the maps, but in this edition, since it's specifically built to be a reader's edition, I'm just not sure the purpose. So all in all, this is a really great edition. I just know it's not for me. Some of you, this is what you've been waiting for. You've wanted a reader's edition with no references, single column, all that stuff. And I'm really looking forward to the single column Stridon when it comes out. But this one is it's just not it for me. So I'm looking forward to getting it to its new owner and hoping that they can really enjoy it to its fullest capability. So not a bad review. I try to point out all the things that I find that could have been better, like the ridge on the spine. This could be corrected in the future. So Schuyler should really point this out to Youngblood and insist that they modify the width of their Oxford Hollow to match the width of their block. So I hope this is fixed for future editions. Please leave a comment down below if you enjoy the Treveris, if you look forward to buying a Treveris. If you have both the Treveris and the Quintel, how do you use them differently? Do you use the Treveris as a reader's edition like it's supposed to be used? And speaking of comments, as with every video, I give away a Bible. So if this is you want a Bible. You left a comment on a recent video and I appreciate that. Congratulations. If you found this video helpful, leave a like. It helps the channel and I appreciate it. If you didn't like it, leave 2 dislikes. And if you're looking for other ways that you can support the channel, one easy and free way to do it is to hit subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.